Hello, I'm Claire and welcome to my channel. So today's video is a review of Phlur fragrances. I've been sent 5 samples by a subscriber, Samantha, and I'd just like to thank Samantha so much for sending these. I was really happy to get to try these out at last because whenever I go into a store in Space NK in the UK, these testers are drained, and that makes me think that these fragrances must be popular. So I've always been intrigued to try these out. So finally, this is my opportunity. So if you haven't seen me before, I'm Claire. I talk all about fragrance on this channel. And of course, if you are interested, then please do consider subscribing. And if you do enjoy this video, then please do press the like button, especially if you find this video useful. So first of all, I'll give you a little bit of background on the brand Phlur, because I don't feel like Phlur is such a big brand in the UK as it is in the US. So Phlur is really a play on words. It stands for the French word fleur, which means flower, combined with pH, which refers to skin's pH. So Phlur launched back in 2016, but they really took off in a big way in 2022 when they launched a whole new collection of fragrances. And I noticed on Phlur's website, they do market a discovery set, which retails for £36. But I did also notice that they're actually changing the fragrances that are in that discovery set this year. And that's because they're discontinuing a number of their fragrances. So for example, Tangerine Boy, Somebody Would, Not Your Baby and Solar Power are actually in their farewell sale. So if you love those fragrances already, I would get to the Phlur website and get one because they will disappear. So in today's video, I'm going to try out 5 fragrances and I will also share my favourite at the end of the video. So let's start off with the first one, which is Vanilla Skin. So Vanilla Skin, when I first just smelt it from the vial, I always do this. I always just smell things from the vial first before I actually spray them on skin. It transported me straight back to the 90s. It made me think of Impulse Vanilla Kisses body spray. It just felt like a one-to-one. But actually when I sprayed this on my skin, it really wasn't like that at all. And I think that's kind of a magical thing with fragrance, isn't it? So this really is quite a dark, ambery, resinous feeling, sugary vanilla, a dark sugary vanilla. And it's also just got a kind of oudiness in the dry down. Really the dry down is where it's at with this fragrance. When I first sprayed this, I really wasn't too impressed. It smelled a little bit synthetic. And I don't know, there was just something about this that made me think of Vanilla 28, but just something that wasn't as good initially. But by the dry down, I was a convert because of that lovely oudiness in the base and the really rich feeling sugary vanilla. It's just a lovely combination. This one was really long lasting as well. Did project. I'm not the world's biggest fan of vanilla fragrances. I still do think that, you know, having owned Kayali's Vanilla 28 and having that in my collection, I don't need this kind of fragrance. But I think if you are looking for that style of vanilla and you want something with oud, this is definitely something to check out. So that's Vanilla Skin. So the second fragrance is probably their best seller actually, I'm not sure, but this is Father Figure. So Father Figure has been formulated by the same perfumer who formulated the Glossier You scents, and I can definitely see some overlap in the style of this fragrance. So this is a fig sandalwood fragrance, and I would describe this as something that's not one or the other. It's in the middle. It doesn't make me think of photorealistic green figs. It doesn't make me think of spiced or milky sandalwoods. It's something that's a very neutral feeling smell, and that's because of the orris, I think. Really, to me, the orris is more of a texture than it is an actual smell. And it's really not something that I would think of, you know, orris can be quite earthy and it can be very rich. And I don't get a richness here, I just get a texture. I get that kind of slightly irisy texture, but it's less powdery than iris. Really, this also has quite an aquatic feel to it as well. It's a very blue-green feeling fragrance. It does feel a bit watery, especially in the opening. And yeah, it's just got a slight sweetness to it, but it's definitely not a sweet fragrance overall. I think with this fragrance, if you like the Glossier You fragrance, if you like the Glossier You flankers, this is likely to be one that you will like. I think you also need to like that kind of modern molecular style of perfumery, because this one doesn't make me think of natural fig. It's something that's quite abstract to me. It's a very clean smelling fragrance. So that's Father Figure. So the next fragrance is Strawberry Letter. So Strawberry Letter is something that is described by the brand as a juicy strawberry ripe for the picking. And I would totally disagree with that statement. It doesn't come across like that at all to me. To me, this is definitely a musk-based fragrance. If you don't like musk, you're not going to enjoy this. It also has a ton of apple blossom. And for me, apple blossom quite often makes me think of air freshener. So this is something that I sometimes struggle with in fragrances. But I would say this one's definitely on the milder side of the apple blossom scale compared to some fragrances I've tried. So this fragrance is actually by the same perfumer who made the Kayali Eden range. So if you like that range, you may very well like this fragrance. But I'd say this fragrance is like the dry down of some of those fragrances. So this one opens with a pink feeling strawberry. It's like a strawberry juice that's been covered in a ton of powdery musk, almost like an icing sugar mixed in with the strawberry juice and sort of the strawberry almost freeze dried and sprayed in the air. That's what it makes me think of. This also has a greenness to it. So there's some cassis here, and there's also like that apple blossom, as I've said. But in dry down, there's an almost velvety texture to this, and there's a richness to this, and I think that must be the plum. But plum can sometimes be quite boozy smelling, and it's definitely not a boozy plum. It's more of that kind of velvety texture that plum can bring to fragrances. I think this one is all about the texture. If it's all about the musk, and really as this dries down, it becomes quite a soapy, floral feeling musk. I think if that's not something you're into, then you might struggle with this one. This one definitely wasn't my favourite from the bunch, but I think if you like apple blossom, if you like powdery fragrances, if you like really musky fragrances, and you want something very clean and floral, then this is one to check out. So that's Strawberry Letter. So the next fragrance is called Rose Whip, and Rose Whip is formulated by the same perfumer who formulated Missing Person. Now, I haven't tried Missing Person, but it seems logical that if you like Missing Person, you might want to check out Rose Whip because they might share something in common. So this fragrance is really, yes, it's rose, but I would say it's quite a sedate rose. It's quite a laid back rose, quite a rose that's dominated more by the fruitiness here. It smells to me like you've taken some rose petals and you've taken some blackcurrant and you've whizzed it up in a food processor and then covered it with a powderiness, an almost spiced powderiness alongside a slight greenness. And that's the opening. But then in the dry down, it's more about a bit of more texture alongside that. So there's an almost suede-like aspect in the dry down, and it also turns a little bit boozy. The rose here smells almost a little bit more jammy, and it also goes in a slightly Middle Eastern direction into the dry down. I think this fragrance is definitely something that you still could like if you don't think that you like rose fragrances, because I don't really think this is overtly rose. It's really quite a fruity fragrance overall, and quite a musky, powdery fragrance too. I think this fragrance again is all about the texture, and if you don't like texture in fragrances, you probably won't enjoy this one. But yeah, that's a Rose Whip. So the final fragrance is called Cherry Stem, and this is actually described by the perfumer as a sexier take on cherry, and he says that he thinks of this fragrance as a representation of you tying a cherry stem with your tongue. I thought that was an interesting visualization of the fragrance, but I'm not sure I entirely agree with him. So this one is really a juicy cherry. It's a cherry juice fragrance alongside a golden feeling slight booziness, but I would say it's not a sugary booziness, it's not a dark booziness. It's something generally fresher. And that is alongside quite a big floral hit from freesia. So freesia often makes me think of shampoo, and I do think of shampoo a little bit with this fragrance. To me, this smells like a very light pink. And actually this fragrance overall makes me think of another freesia fragrance that I used to own called Jimmy Choo Illicit Flower. I think if you took Illicit Flower and just added a little dash of cherry juice in there, you would pretty much have this fragrance. I think this one, actually, if you like fresh, clean feeling, quite youthful, light floral fragrances, this is going to be something to check out. I think this one is actually well done. Even though I say it reminds me of shampoo, I think it's still quite a nice fragrance. So that is Cherry Stem. So I think out of these fragrances that I've tried in this set of 5, my 2 favourites are ironically from the same perfumer. So those 2 are Vanilla Skin and Cherry Stem. So please do let me know your own favourites from Phlur and really tell me which ones I should be trying next. Also let me know how their body sprays are. They're really quite expensive for body sprays, at least in the UK. And I'm just wondering just how good they actually are. So if you have enjoyed this video, then please do press the like button and please also consider subscribing if you haven't done already. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.